Dear all, welcome to today's class on types of data. Now, in this class, we are going to discuss all the different types of data that we collect through questionnaire or survey or interview. Now, what do we mean by types of data? Here goes the definition. It refers to the different types of data on different variables we collect through questionnaire or interviews. Let me explain the definition here. So as you can see here, we have a list of questions from a sample survey questionnaire. Now here we have questions on age, on height, on gender, and also finally we have a question on a ranking. So let's assume the question asks something about your school day, right? Again, take note very carefully that the question asks, number one, what is your age? What is your height? What is your gender? And what was your position in the race on annual sports day? Now, in this questionnaire, we have a lot of variables. We have age as a variable, we have height as another variable, we have gender as another variable, and finally, position in the race on annual sports day. So, position is another variable here. Now, I'm not going to explain what is a variable because I'm sure you have gone through the concept of variable in your statistics course. So yes, we have four variables here. And in this questionnaire, we are collecting data on these specific variables. So for example, we are collecting data on the age variable. So what is the age of different people or different respondents in my study? Then I'm collecting data on the height variable. So what is the height of the respondents in my survey? And in the same manner, I'm going to collect data on the gender variable and the position in the race on annual sports day variable. Now, in this lecture, we are going to see that what are all the different types of data that we can collect through a survey or a questionnaire or an interview. Now, at the end of this video, you will see that in this very questionnaire, we have many different types of data. And don't worry, it is going to be very easy. Alright, now let's move on to the different types of data. So with regards to types of data, we have four different types. We have nominal data, we have ordinal data, interval data, and ratio data. Now, just to mention here, in different books, you will see different namings of these four types of data. So just to explain, in some books, these are called nominal data, ordinal data, interval data, and ratio data. However, in some books, these four categories are called variables. So nominal variable, ordinal variable, interval variable, ratio variable. And at the same time, in other books, these are called scales of measurement. So nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, ratio scale. So just to summarize, often these are called data, sometimes these are called variables, and finally, other times these are called scales. Don't worry about it too much, all of these mean sort of the same thing. Alright, now let's move on to the explanations. So the first type of data, nominal data. Let's take a look at the definition first. A data that serves only as labels or tags for identifying and classifying or categorizing objects. Trust me, it is a very simple concept. This is the easiest one of all of the four different types of data. So the definition might look a little bit complicated, but trust me, it's very easy to understand. So what is the main characteristic of nominal data? As we saw from the definition, the main characteristic is category. So nominal data has different categories. Again, I'm explaining this concept very soon. So what do we mean by category here? So let's move on. Again, here is the definition that we saw just earlier. So a data that serves only as labels or tags for identifying and classifying or categorizing objects. So here, as you can see, we have category again. And this is the main characteristic of nominal data. Now I know the concept is not at all clear yet, but trust me, once I show you the example and explain it, it will be very easy and crystal clear to you. So here goes one of the examples. Now, if I ask you a question, what is your gender? And you have these three options or four options to choose from. So you have male, female, transgender, and other options, you can choose any of these options as your answer. Now, listen to me very carefully. Gender is a variable here, and as answers, we can choose any one of these. Now, can I say that male is a category, female is another category, transgender is another category, and so on? So what am I doing here? I have a variable, and as possible answers, I have different categories here, right? Different classifications or different categories. So the answers to this question basically gives me different categories, right? So again, this question gives us the opportunity to respond or select one of these categories. So by definition, this type of data is called nominal data. Why? Because again, this variable or the answer to this variable gives me the opportunity to choose among different categories. So just to mention one last time, if a question or a variable gives you the opportunity to choose one category or write one category as your answer, in that case, that data is classified as nominal data. Is it clear now? So just for simplification purpose, nominal data must have different categories. Alright, let me move on to another example. So here in the next question we have religion. So if I ask you what is your religion, and as options you have Hindu, Muslim, Buddhism, Christianism, and other options. Now what am I doing here? Religion is a variable, and as response I have different categories here again. So Hinduism is a category, Islam is a category, Buddhism is a category, Christianism is a category, and so on, right? So again, the answer to this question gives the respondent the opportunity to choose from one of these categories. And that is why this data is also nominal data. Now let's move on to the final example, address. So if I ask you the question, what is your address or where do you live? And if I give you a blank space to write your answer, then you can write either Dhaka, Khulna, Rajshahi, Lalmatia, Dhanmondi, or whatever you want. Now say you write down Dhaka. So now you belong to the category of people who live in Dhaka, right? Or maybe you wrote Khulna. So if you do that, you then belong to the category of people who live in Khulna. So that is why it's also nominal data. Why? Because it gives you the opportunity to choose one of the categories as your answer. Alright, so these are three examples of nominal data. Now let's go back to the survey question again. So this is a survey questionnaire that I showed you at the very beginning of this video. Now if you take a look here, question number 3 asks what is your gender, and we have 4 different categories here, and that is why this type of data is nominal data. Now you can ask, what about the others? So what is your age? Is this a nominal data? What is your height? Is this a nominal data? Or what about the last question? The answer is no. These are not nominal data. These are other types of data. Why? I'll explain the reason very soon. Let's move on to the next type of data, ordinal data. An ordinal data represents an ordered series of relationships or rank order. I know the definition is a little bit complicated, but do not worry, it's very simple once again. So I'm explaining it very soon with relevant examples. The key word to note here is order or rank. So I have a certain rank here. Now if I go on to the characteristics of this type of data, we have category. So yes, just like nominal data, we have category here, and we also have order or rank in this type of data. So what do we mean by order or rank? I'm explaining it very soon. Let's take a look at the example here, and I guess in that way it will be very easy for you. So let's say this is one of the questions. So we are talking about a ranking in a car race. So let's assume that there is a car race just like this, alright? So maybe Paul Walker was in the race, and at the end of the race I ask you what is the position of Paul Walker in this race, and you have the options to choose from: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever. So again, this was a race that took place somewhere, and at the end of the race, I give you a questionnaire and ask what is the position of this specific person in that race. And as your answer, you can provide first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Now, please listen to me very carefully. When you provide your answer as first, second, third, fourth, or any other option, are you not choosing a different category here? So can I say that first is a category, second is another category, third is another category, fourth is another category, and so on. So just like nominal data, we have category here. Alright. However, in addition to category, we have another characteristic here. What is that? We have a certain order among these categories. Or we can also say that we have a certain rank among these categories. So what is the order here? First is the best, then comes second, then comes third. Alright? So again, among all these three, first position is the best, then comes second, then comes third. So by nature, among these categories, there is a given rank or a certain order. And that is the other characteristic of ordinal data. So again, just to summarize, in this question, ranking in a car race, we have two characteristics. One is categories, so we have different categories, first, second, third, and along with that, we have a certain order in between these categories. So first is the best, then comes second, then comes third. And because of these two combined characteristics, we are calling this an ordinal data. Alright, now let me give you another example here. So, popularity of a celebrity. Let's assume I give you this photo, alright? So I give you this photo of Mr. Bean and I ask you that what is the popularity of this celebrity right here? Is it high, is it medium, or is it low? Now, by taking a look at this question and considering these options, can you tell me whether it's an ordinal data or some other type of data? Obviously, this is an ordinal data. Now, I'm giving you 10 seconds to think why specifically this is going to be an ordinal data. So let's think for 10 seconds. Yes, this is an ordinal data. And why is that exactly? This question or the answer to this question fulfills both the characteristics of an ordinal data. Why? Because it has categories. So high, medium, low. So these are three different categories. And at the same time, there is a given order in between these categories. High comes first in the order, then comes medium, and then comes low. So as this piece of data have both the characteristics of categories and order, we are going to classify this data as ordinal data. Now let me give you another example here. So this is a ranking table from the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019. Now again, we have a ranking here. So this is a ranking of all the different countries in the game, right? At a certain specific point in time. So as we can see here that New Zealand was at the top, then Australia, then India, then England, and so on. So here as well, we have different categories. So all the different rows are different categories, right? And along with these different categories, we have a certain order or a rank. So this picture right here has both the characteristics of an ordinal data. So it has categories and ranks or order. And that is why this is another example of ordinal data. Now I want to show you a very important point. Let me go back to the example of nominal data. So remember, in nominal data, we just have categories, no order. So let us see why gender or religion or address are classified as nominal data but not ordinal data. Let me explain this with just one example here. So let's take a look at gender. So we had male, female, and transgender. Now obviously it has different categories, right? But in nominal data, we do not have any certain order or rank. Now as we can see here that we have male, female, and transgender. Now, can we by any chance say that male is better than female, or female is better than transgender, or transgender is better than male or female? No, we cannot say that. It is not possible. It is not true. So as we can see here, there is no given order between these categories. And that is why gender, religion, or address, these are not ordinal data. Rather, these are nominal data only. Why? Because they do not have any certain order or rank. They just have categories. Alright, so just to summarize, in nominal data we have one characteristic. We have just category. However, in ordinal data, we have both category and at the same time we have order or rank. Alright, we are done with nominal and ordinal data. Now please, I would request you that you watch the next video right now. Otherwise, if you take a pause and then start watching the video after a while, it will be a little bit difficult for you to grab the concept properly, alright? So in the next video, I'm going to discuss about interval data and ratio data. And I would request you to please watch that video right now, alright? See you very soon in the next video.